him.
I want to watch the news.
Are you making headway at least?
This is the news.
Smack 'em a gob, everybody. It is time for the only news that matters. And Sammy Hagar and Guy Fieri are facing a huge setback after two trucks from their jointly owned tequila company were hijacked with over $1 million in product stolen. The trucks were transporting 4,040 cases of Santo tequila, including Blanco, Reposado, and Extra Añejo varieties. I don't know what the hell all that is. Liquor, I guess. The later of which has the highest price point. The robbery reportedly took place in Laredo, Texas, just after the big rigs had crossed the border from Mexico. It appears this was an organized crime effort where the trucks were illegally double brokered to different carriers who transferred the product to their trucks. A representative, Hagar Belcher, explained to Fox News, for a growing company like Santo, it's a real shame for something like this to happen in the middle of our strongest year to date and right before the holidays. The Sammy Belcher noted in the statement of his own, he said, anyone that knows business knows this is a huge setback for any company in a hugely competitive market. But Guy and I will survive. Most of all, we're glad that nobody was hurt during the crime. Hagar and Fieri, whatever his name is, teamed up to launch Santo in 2019. Before that, the former Vangina singer found huge success with his Cabo Wabo tequila brand, which sold in 2007. In an interview with People magazine, Fieri said that he and Belcher found out about the theft on November 14th. He said, we've worked so hard. This is our best year that we've ever had in Santo, and we just had all this momentum, and now wherever on the shelf is all people are going to get. As far as motive, Fieri suggested that someone could be trying to break a momentum the company has generated, though it seems unlikely that the stolen tequila will be recovered. Fieri is offering $10,000 reward if they can at least get back the Extra Añejo, which takes 4 years to make. Wow, that sucks. Wow. Man, 4 years to make this shit and get stolen. That's horrible. It's like a movie, Fieri said on the hijacking. He said, I never in a million years thought this was coming down the pike like this, but it's real. Yeah, you know, I goof on Belcher all the time, but this is horrible. I'm not happy this happened. I don't wish anything bad on Sammy Belcher, contrary to what a lot of you think. No, I mean, okay, I'll admit, I wouldn't mind if he got a hemorrhoid and had to sit on a donut for a month or two. That's as far as I'd go. But I wouldn't wish this guy, get ripped off like this, And he's an old man. I wish him good health. I do not wish death on Sammy Hagar, all right? Okay, it'd be nice if the world would force him to stop making music. But hey, that's all right. I don't have to listen to it, So, there are people out there that actually enjoy Sammy Hagar Belcher music. So whatever, man. But anyway, that robbery, when they ripped off the trucks, there was some surveillance pictures taken, and they think this is the man that that stole the booze. I know, so be on the lookout for this dude. And I'm going to take a break from the news now to give you a little educational. This won't take long. I'm just going to educate you for a little bit, all right? Okay, here we go. T. You know T? You know that T is spelled T-E-A, but the E-A is silent. Food for thought. Now that I have fed your brain with some knowledge, let's go back to how Sammy Hagar Belcher sucks. As I recently reported, in case you missed it, Sammy Hagar Belcher, the only thing he ended up saying, with Alex avoiding him, not talking about the Vangina years in the book and all that stuff, he hasn't said anything, but he put up an old interview of Alex Van Halen saying how, you know, Vangina rules. You know how the old Van Halen was a Volkswagen, the new Van Halen is a Porsche or whatever, Rolls Royce. And he puts that out there like, you know, it's his way of saying, oh, he doesn't think my era was special. And he's saying that the magic was with Roth. Well, let me put this out there, what he said about that era. Yeah, so I guess what Sammy's doing is showing you something of Alex's past that should be, you know, reflecting, you know, why he's saying what he's saying. Because he's making, in other words, he's making Alex to look like a hypocrite. And the funny part is that, well, how about you, Sammy? How about all the things you said in the past that you now claim you regret? That's the thing about this guy. After Eddie died, he was like, oh man, I take back everything I said in the book about Eddie and blah, 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 right? Then after he says that, he does some other interviews after that where he talks about Eddie drinking, Eddie's a drunk, Eddie was this, Eddie was that. That last tour was terrible and I wanted to leave. But if I left the tour, I would have to pay millions to the promoters and blah, 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 blah. Right? You know, he ended up saying all that after he said, I feel bad of everything I said about Eddie. Yeah, you don't. I'm here to remind you all of all the horrible things he said about Eddie in the past that he still carries with him. Remember this?
Fuck you, Eddie Van Halen.
Yep, that was Belcher all mad at Eddie because Eddie said he had to teach Michael Anthony the bass parts before a tour. Sammy Hagar Belcher actually said in his own book that Eddie would teach Michael Anthony bass stuff before the tour. I guess he forgot writing that. And here he is yelling at Eddie for saying something that Sammy said was true before Eddie ever said it, because he had such a hard-on for Eddie Van Halen. And let me tell you something. I don't care how much a dick Eddie Van Halen was. You can complain to the moon, but you know what? You gotta thank Eddie Van Halen. Because if it wasn't for Eddie Van Halen, you wouldn't have that money to buy Cabo Wabo where you sold it for tens and millions of dollars. You couldn't afford that shit with iDrive 55 fucking money. You know? I mean, his career would have died. I knew it would have died. There's no way he could have kept going. You know? I just don't see it. Even in the middle of his huge, you know, Vangina years, he did another solo album that I don't even think it went gold. He claimed it went platinum and shit. And it might have gone gold because Eddie played bass on it. But then, you know, after that, you know, what was Stanley Hampton? All this shit was gold till he joined Vangina, and then he got a couple platinum albums out of it, you know? So there would have never been Cabo Wabo money if it wasn't for Sammy getting that money from Vangina, not his scary solo career. Because believe me, later on, his solo career would have been solo that nobody would have been able to find it. I dig early Billy Squier. I love that shit. You know, Don't Say No, and, you know, Emotion. I love all that stuff. Tail of the Tape. But that's where Sammy Hagar was going. He was going to have a career like Billy Squier. He was going to have a career like Rick Springfield, which he actually wrote songs for, which shows the trajectory of their careers. He would have had the same outcome as Rick Springfield and Billy Squier, you know? It's a fact. The guy was a flash in the pan. He really was. You know, he did how many solo albums did he make before he got a hit? I mean, it was several. But that was the cool thing about the 70s, is that a lot of these killer bands would release albums and nobody would buy them, but the record company had faith in them and kept pushing them till it exploded, you know? A good example of that was REO Speedwagon. I mean, I think they had like 9 albums before they became popular. That was a record company, you know, dedicated to that band. And now Kansas was another one. You know, they had 3 or 4 albums that weren't selling, but the record company kept, you know, pushing it. And, it keeps going on. Nazareth, you name it. A lot of bands didn't start off strong, and that was Sammy Belcher. He didn't start out strong. He had a bunch of solo albums and didn't do shit till, One Way to Rock? I don't remember. I don't care. But whatever. He had a couple hits in the early 80s, and those hits sucked. Come on. They were no fucking In the Dark or Everybody Wants You, you know? And even Rick Springfield did a better cover of whatever the hell that song he did for Rick Springfield. Yeah, Rick Springfield did it even better than Sammy. But that's no surprise because Sammy Belcher sucks. But I feel bad. I do feel bad that he lost all this money. I don't wish shit like this at all on him, you know. All right, you know, the donut, sit on a donut for a couple months. Or, you know, stub your toe really hard on furniture where your toenail turns purple. Okay, I'll accept that. But I don't want the guy to get ripped off over $1 million. It sucks, man, but whatever. What are your thoughts on it? Please leave it in the comments below. Do you feel bad? Or you don't feel bad? Or you just don't give a fuck? Leave it in the comments below. I welcome all comments as long as you're respectful. Because if you're not respectful, I will send you to the cornfield. Twilight Zone style. So thank you so much for watching The Only News That Matters. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And ring that little notification bell. And like the video. It's awesome for the YouTube algorithms. So stay frosty. Listen to Black Sabbath and smack 'em a cob.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain. For we've received orders for to sail back to Boston. And so never more shall we see you again.